There you go again.
It is the greatest cost of war. The Department of Defense says about 5,000 American servicemen and women have been killed in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. About 35,000 have been injured. For those who come home needing more than 6 months' care, there is a place to recover, an entire battalion at Fort Lewis dedicated to those with the most complex injuries.
And then boom,
including physical wounds.
I found myself laying on the bottom of the striker with the other kid on top of me.
Watching, the blood and everything going out, like, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Just a huge open fracture, just bone just sticking out.
You hear choppers flying in and we're like, all right, we got someone coming in. Everybody, all the docs would get prepared, prepare those trauma rooms.
And emotional scars.
You get kids in there too, and they're burned or, they got shot. And so I got very heartfelt at that time.
It was scandal at Walter Reed and complaints about Army medical care overall that prompted changes.
I'm not getting the proper care that I need. They're not giving me the appointments that I need.
In 2007, that Fort Lewis soldier told me the medical care system was slow, confusing, and beyond frustrating.
Sometimes I have thoughts of taking my life.
In response,
the Army has stepped up in an unbelievable way.
The military created units across the country, including a large battalion at Fort Lewis, where wounded soldiers are assigned for duty. Their job here? It's where they heal.
Healing, whether it be mentally or physically.
So they can return to the military or transition to civilian life. It's called the Warrior Transition Battalion, the WTB, and its own commander is evidence it works. Walking with the aid of crutches and braces, Lieutenant Colonel Danny Dudak tells me he was an artilleryman, part of the surge in Iraq.
And that's when an ID hit me. It came to the back of the striker and killed a kid next to me, and I got wounded.
He has no feeling in his ankles and feet.
I was on bed rest for 4 months.
Was there a point in there when you thought, maybe I'm not going to be able to get out?
Yeah, I don't think like that. I was going to run again.
If his spirit gave him the will to deal with his injuries, he says the WTB gave him the way.
What the WTB does is it gives you the time you need to heal, and it gives you the resources you need to have.
You can have a seat there. Look.
Military doctors and other medical personnel have always prided themselves on providing excellent care.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
A lot of pain still on the knee.
Show me how much motion you have.
But now the WTB coordinates it. Each soldier is assigned a primary care physician as well as a nurse case manager and a squad leader to help them and their families navigate the system.
Honestly, you feel like you have 24-hour care almost and people looking after you.
I spoke with Intel Officer Hagop Ozunian at his physical therapy session at Madigan Army Medical Center.
Since he's literally having trouble lifting his own body weight, we're starting with the TheraBands first.
Much of the care these soldiers receive is traditional like this.
Push down. Keep your knee straight. There you go. Toes all the way up.
But sometimes providing the best care means trying something different. Meet Brody, a dachshund puppy. Think of him as a little four-legged battle buddy.
It's just kind of like having your friend around all the time. You usually feel like you have more confidence.
You see, in Iraq, Specialist Thomas Evans fought insurgents. Here, he battles post-traumatic stress. He says his PTSD wasn't sparked by any single event.
I think it might be just a lot of different things. There's a...
Now listen carefully.
Okay.
Did you catch that? Evans calms down simply by playing with Brody's dog tags.
He's pretty chill for a wiener dog.
A lot of our soldiers are, I'm sure you know, coming back from theater with either crowd anxiety or not being able to go into a restaurant or a movie without their back to the door. They've been living in a threat environment for prolonged periods of time.
Behavioral health chief Ellen Bloom says service dogs give soldiers back some of the confidence, security, and calm that was robbed by trauma.
When I want to play with him, he'll play. Oh, yeah, he loves playing.
In addition to traditional therapy, Bloom oversees all kinds of programs at the Warrior Transition Battalion, from Zen meditation to martial arts.
All those programs, while they're fun, they have a health benefit side to them, and that's why we started them.
And the innovation doesn't end here.
You can grab a hard hat right here.
From a construction site on a hill to a boat on the water.
If I could have that oar just shoved out here.
Soldiers, some with permanent injuries, are getting therapy outside of the hospital and the barracks. Occupational therapist Leslie Vaughn says they're trying new things through the Warrior Transition Battalion.
Because it helps build their level of confidence, lifts the human spirit, builds morale, a lot of different things.
Oh, okay.
You can see confidence building in Sergeant Lucretia Gale's eyes. Despite having paralyzed legs, she masters rowing.
Feels great.
Now having the opportunity to kind of get back out there, what's that like?
Different, exciting. It's just so much out there for us. But if you're not exposed to it, then you don't know.
And a lot of soldiers, that's all they've ever done is soldiering.
Vaughn says sports, work, education, this Habitat for Humanity building project, it all helps these wounded warriors build confidence.
Doing something I've never done before. I'm roofing.
And skills for the future, whether that's ultimately in or out of the military. Or as First Sergeant Jeff Segerson puts it,
it actually teaches you to heal for yourself.
Segerson lost the use of one of his hands. He says getting out into the community like this,
it makes me feel very good that I can get back, but I'm actually giving to myself because I'm doing something for me to say, I did this. And that makes me feel good.
Each wounded soldier is ultimately responsible for healing him or herself. But at the Warrior Transition Battalion, they're not making the journey alone.
I'd be crying in my room. Like, when's this going to end? When am I going to be normal again?
For Specialist Jessica Salazar, the toughest part of the war on terror might just be fighting her own nightmares.
I was part of the CLT, which is the Casualty Liaison Team.
At a Baghdad hospital, Salazar assessed wounded civilians and soldiers. Over a 9-month period, she figures,
I'd say about over 500 soldiers that I've seen come in, hit by an IED. You got to smell it, see it, and, you got to see those soldiers really trying to hang on to their lives there.
When specialist Reed Rice came home with a partially amputated hand, the skilled engineer found he could barely put on shoes.
Tying shoes is hard to adjust to at some point. Some points you get real frustrated. You're like, I can't open a jar of pickles now.
Rice and Salazar have come a long way physically and mentally. Both credit not only their treatment, but their fellow soldiers at the Warrior Transition Battalion.
One of the great things about being here, you got soldiers who actually been deployed, who been, injured or has some kind of medical ailment.
Knowing that there was other people here with my exact same situation or something near that was comforting.
They discovered they're not alone.
Because when I came here, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one who's ever done this, and it wasn't like that when I got here.
Our battalion commander, he gets up every day and puts 110% regardless of what his injuries is, and his more severe than mine. So
I have to be honest, this is more complex than my artillery job.
After an IED blast permanently damaged Lieutenant Colonel Danny Dudek's feet, he was assigned to the Warrior Transition Battalion. Here, he quickly worked his way to the top with a mission in mind.
My ability to understand what I went through and understand how the process should go, I know I can improve the system.
It's a serious job.
I see myself as a leader. I hopefully I'm not a guy that inspires them based on, oh, look how sad that person is. Oh, look, but he's overcoming it. So more of my leadership, less my wheelchair.
I'm pretty sure it's all about your leadership.
I hope so. I hope so.
In this battalion, they put on a uniform. Their duty is to heal. And just as they went into battle together, they're healing with their military family here.
This place is definitely, a good place for soldiers for healing.
This is not your typical line unit.
Heather Bosch, News Talk 97.3 KIRO